Let's move to scoring. How will I for scoring, we develop, it's called rubric. We work on rubric for scoring. uh, there are two type of rubrics that work for scoring. One is at each question level. So for example, I gave 4 questions. I will first develop rubric for each of these questions, and my second rubric will be for this entire assessment, where I'm actually assessing, let's say for example, this, you are assessing me as Vandana. So overall, if you have to rate Vandana's performance out of 10, there will be a rubric for that. Also, there will be a rubric for how Vandana has performed on question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. Okay. So right now we will, I'll share, how you can design first the question level rubric, and this is very pretty simple. So simple table you can create. You write the question number or the question name, or if you can write the question name, that's better. Marks for each question, the learning outcome, and which skill or competency that question is assessing, whether it's remember, understand, apply, higher order. Your criteria. Now, so this is how your table needs to be. You need to write a criteria. The criteria needs to have knowledge or skill, and each question can assess one or two criteria, one or two skill, one or two knowledge. Write that very neatly. And because it's a 1 mark question paper, for example, you have to create a rubric on how will I give a child 1 mark. Usually we use a very simple 2 point binary scale, which is very simple and quick. And for that, you need to determine the levels. So here's the criteria, then comes the levels: beginner or need support, immediate. The second can be immediate or learning, intermediate, proficient, or independent. So these are basically a very a progressive criteria of marking a child from 0 to 1. If I'm giving 0, the child is on beginner stage. If I'm giving, let's say, 0.5, the child is on intermediate or learning phase. If I'm giving child 1 mark, it means the child has become proficient in that skill or knowledge that I'm assessing through that question. And what is my why? When will I give a child a 0 mark? If the child is given incorrect or no response. When will I give a 0.5? The child has given 0. If the child has partially given correct answer, it's incomplete. When I will give 1 mark, it will be correct or complete answer. Let's say if it's a 2 mark paper, again you can follow same 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, proficient. You can name it support, need support, learning, independent. You can come up with any name, but it should indicate a progress from one level to the next. And these levels should not be either, it can be 3 or 5. It should not be 4. The most efficient ones are 3 level or 5 level. I'll give you an example of both. So same, for example, we have another question of 2 marks. Let's say the question assesses reasoning. So your this may remain the same. You have to change the weightage. When will I give a 0? When will I give 1, 2, or whatever weightage you have? But this needs to change. You have to come up with clear idea कि अगर बच्चे ने for example, if the child has totally misunderstood, then you need to write that a child has not understood the question correctly or it's irrelevant. So these verbs are very, very important to clearly demarcate when you will give 2, 1, 0, whatever is the weightage. And this will help you define and even guide the child in feedback at what level they are in learning, and for you to also know at what level they are actually, rather than, because see, when we give marks, 2.5 mark or 3 mark, it doesn't help you as a teacher and the child as a learner. Where are we? So similarly, let's say if we have to do a 3 mark or a 4 mark, here I have come up with the four levels, and here I've also given a 5 level profile, 5 progressive level levels I've defined here. uh,
Hmm.
Beginner, emerging, developing, proficient. Developing you can use for two and a half.
Exactly.
For let's say it's a 3 mark. For a 4 mark paper, you I mean you I've come up with a total 5 scale: beginner, emerging, developing, proficient, exemplary, with a clear description of why I'm giving 0, and how I'm defining a answer or a response as beginner level. So a 4 point binary scale, it reflects clarity, depth, organization, insight. And a 5 level actually helps, more when we talk about higher order. For application, higher order, create that kind of quest, for those kind of questions, a 5 level marking really helps. So each question to question, these levels need to differ. And similarly, same for, as I said, for 4 and 5 mark, you can actually, this is another example of a 5 mark where I've come up with a question that, for example, this is a question that discuss how rubrics improve the reliability of classroom assessment. So it's a very discuss and describe kind of a question. So how my description should change, right, under each level and for each marking. This needs to be very, very clearly mentioned with each verb. And at the end of this session, I'm going to share a handout which includes all of these as a takeaway for you as teachers to read, refer, experiment. Because I know 1 hour session is too less, to do some practice session, etc. But I'll probably pause here at a question level. I'll pause for 1 minute, take questions, responses before I go to the